This was up at the Courier Mail, a full-blown crisis. That's the way they're seeing it. Marnus Labuschagne, that image top right where he shouldered arms to Jasprit Bumrah, was dismissed. That's a real theme, a feeling around the country that this team may be in a little bit of trouble. It's only been one test match, the first of a series, but we'll take a listen to Josh Hazlewood in the press conference last night when he was asked what the team has to do to stay alive in this game. What's the approach going to be as a unit to come out and try to conquer or combat India in this tough fourth innings of this test? Let's take a listen.
Well, he'd probably have to ask one of the batters that question probably. I'm sort of relaxing and trying to get a bit of physio and a bit of treatment, and I'm probably looking mostly towards next test and what plans we can do against these batters.
Davey, is that reflective? That to me tells me that there's potentially a divided change room. I don't know if that's the case. I might be reading too much into that, but is that reflective of the environment that you were a part of?
Look, I think as a senior player, you've probably got a duty of care as well when you're representing the rest of the team to actually have, something that the batters would want to get across. And, all the batters are thinking about going out there and batting. There's not a lot of runs in that change room at the moment, but to have support from a senior bowler, yes, it was a long day. Those comments probably weren't warranted. I don't think there's a divide in there, but you probably see in great teams as well. Maybe the England camp as well, Brody, Jimmy, they might have come off after a long day, and you can start pointing fingers, but I don't think there's a divide in that change room.
Yeah, it's interesting. In the modern era, we hear about batters' meetings and bowlers' meetings, Vorney, that neither go to the other. But I guess in time before, everyone sat in on all the meetings, so you were across all the detail, and it was a real togetherness. We're all in it together.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm staggered by that press conference. Josh Hayes was a great bowler, terrific team member. Publicly, I've never heard an Australian come out and kind of divide the camp into batters and bowlers. There's 11 batters. That will never change. Every single player has to bat. There's 2 days to go in the test match. It's a long shot, a huge shot for Australia to get anything out of this game, but to publicly see a player basically saying, I'm thinking about the next game before this game is finished. I've been in many teams where, and we get it. You do get the batters and you do get the bowlers. When the batters are going well and they're not getting the wickets, you go, come on, bowlers, what are you doing? And when the batters are batting like Australia are at the minute, the bowlers are saying, come on, batters, give us a little bit more time. They gave them 51 overs, so you can see there's a bit of a grumpiness there. But to publicly to come out and say that, I've never, ever seen that from an Australian player. Any player, really, around the globe, but particularly Australians, I don't see that.
And what the Indian dressing room will be thinking when they hear something like that. So we know there are cracks on the pitch, but I feel there are some mental cracks as well at this moment of time in the opposition. And having come to Australia for 30, 40 years, I think this is the first time an Indian team is feeling there that, you know what, we are better than the opposition in their backyard.
And that's,
and that's, I don't think an Indian team has ever thought that way. They would have thought you have to play really good cricket to come on top, but quietly at the back, they're thinking, we'll have to lose it from here. If we stick to what we are doing well and execute properly, I think we have the upper hand.
Wow, that's on the back of 2 series victories here. Last 2 times they travelled. Vorney, we can only speculate. We can't. This has been a very successful Australian cricket team, but it's only one test match. But long, hot days in the field, that can affect decision making. Pat Cummins courageously chose to come out as night watchman after bowling 25 overs. It didn't work. Those fine-tuned, small decisions, they don't seem like much, but they can have an effect in the big picture.
No better pair to ask about the Aussie batting, and particularly this wicket. Mark Ward, David Warner, first and foremost, Junior, what you seen in terms of the deck?
Morning, Vorney. Well, I've got to say, for a 4th day wicket in the West, visually this wicket doesn't look too bad. There's a decent covering of grass. There is some cracking, but I've seen a lot wider cracks, so visually it's not too bad. The other end where you've come from, there's some footmarks for the spinners, but I think generally speaking, it's not too bad to track the bat on.
Yeah, are we overreacting in terms of the Australian bat? And we're only into the first test, but if you go back the last 8 test matches, the numbers don't read well for the order.
Yeah, look, we can read as much as we want into it, but it's all about, making decisions, and it's the right decisions. You look at the list there, you got Usman Khawaja, you got Mitch Marsh, Steve Smith, Marnus Labuschagne and Travis Head, who are world-class batters. They've got to find something here. They've got to come out here and make the most of this. Marnus is obviously in the sheds, but for the other guys, you've got to use this as sort of, a bit of momentum changer for yourself, but to go into the second test. We need big runs from these guys.
The problem with those numbers is there's 3 or 4 players out of form. Now, normally in a top 60, you're going to get 1 or 2 guys who aren't batting as well as the other guys, but when there's that many out of form, that's when you've got big problems.
Yeah, and you're looking at the technical side, you're looking at the mental side. I mean, to think that there's just not enough hundreds being scored. Travis had got one last year. They're just not in any kind of consistent form.
No, you obviously want big hundreds and you want consistent form. If it's not hundreds, you want 50s and 60s. I think Travis Head's made 150 in his last 19 innings. That was 100 against the West Indies in Adelaide. Marnus Labuschagne has made 1 score over 10 in the last 6 test matches. So those numbers are pretty damning. What they can do about it, well, it's up to the individual. They've got to work technically on their game, but mentally try and stay positive.
How long do you leave it? How many chances more have they got?
Well, the issue is who else is there? You know, who's coming through the state system? There's been some names. You've got Sam Constance. You got probably Henry Hunt. There's a few names there, but there's no one jumping out at me that's going to take these positions. They've got weight of runs behind them, but at the moment, they're just not in form. Their preparation, I would never, not say they're not preparing right, but 12, 13 days leading into a test match, they would have been relaxed. I know the guys like to go out and play golf. That's what they do to prepare. A couple of guys have had babies, and congratulations to them. So it's been a bit of a different sort of build-up to a test series as well. But it's 5-match test series. It's something that some of these guys have been a part of with the Ashes. But the build-up in Border Gavaskar Trophy, I'm never doubting the Australians' preparation. So look, as I said, I want them to come out here today, use this as a net, forget about the scoreboard, and try and get some momentum going.
Jasprit Bumrah, he's the key. As a right-hander, he's got 5 LBWs in this game, 7 wickets already. Junior's a right-hander. Go and get in your stance.
Well, watch out for this roller.
Just watch out for your toes don't get rolled
That's
over.
what the Australian batsmen need, that roller to stay there, so Jasprit can't hit that length. But for me, Jasprit Bumrah, I mean, he's a great bowler. His stats say that. But if I'm a right-hander, all I'm concerned about is not letting him hit these stumps or hit this front pad. So I'm looking to play everything with Jasprit Bumrah. So he's basically coming back in at you, what we saw last night from Nathan McSweeney and Marnus Labuschagne. So a short backlift, don't let him hit your pads or the stumps. If he beats me on the outside, I don't care about that, but I'm protecting the castle.
So Junior, even in your setup there, it's sort of that 6-metre length. You can see a few cracks there. But in the back of your mind, you've got to play what you're seeing there coming at you. Yeah. You can't premeditate a leave. And I'm not saying Marnus was premeditating a leave, but in your mindset, you've got to look to score. If you're looking to score, then you can leave it if it rises. But if you automatically see that length and you just play that, that leave shot, that's what's going to happen.
I mean, that sort of length, most bowlers you could be safe letting the ball go. Hazlewood or Cummins, but not Bumrah. He's a skidder. So in the back of your mind, you've got to say, I've got to basically play everything unless it's really short, then I can get under it or it can hit me.